The rules are simple.
You just run what you brung and go as fast as you can.
It can be long and lean, big and boxy, or something totally one of a kind.
Out here, anything goes.
For speed freaks and gearheads,
Nothing like a nice load of nitro.
this is the place where dreams come true.
There was a time when 200 miles an hour would make my nipples hard.
Dave should be between 350 and 360.
You're going to be past 420, way on the other side of 420.
And nightmares lurk.
Chances are the block is destroyed.
We've set it on fire 3 times.
If we're not changing motors, changing transmissions, or changing rear ends, we're not at Bonneville.
There's more than 500 entries at this year's Speed Week.
And I suspect that this will be our biggest event yet.
It's an amateur competition held every year in the middle of the Utah desert. It's a mecca for do-it-yourself mechanics and drivers who love pushing the limits of their cars and themselves. Mixed in with the masses are a handful of racing outfits that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on specially designed high-performance Streamliners. They are all trying to set land speed records for their specific class, while also shooting for the legendary Hot Rod Trophy. That's the award given to the team that records the top speed of the week.
We've had one team that has won this the past 3 years in a row, and it was George Poteet driving the Poteet and Maine Speed Demon.
George and his partner Ron Main are back to defend their title.
This is the man that's fearless.
I'm just a driver.
We all love George.
I'm just the monkey.
But there are plenty of contenders to the throne. Bobby Moore is a newcomer to the world of racing Streamliners, but he has a long history in auto racing, including half a dozen world records set in what he calls the world's fastest Corvette. This year, he's brought a new toy.
Looks good. We better be past 420, way on the other side of 420.
420 miles an hour would be more than halfway to the speed of sound and faster than last year's trophy-winning run. At the staging area, Bobby finds himself in line behind the Vescos, the most famous family in the history of Bonneville.
My dad started in 1933, and of course us kids went to the dry lake bed with him in the late 40s and whatnot in Southern California.
Rick's dad was the legendary Johnny Vesco.
Typical dry lake bed was really not long enough for guys to gain the speeds that they wanted, and said, look, at the Bonneville Salt Flats is the place to be. So in '49 they came up and worked out a deal with the state of Utah to come out here and start using it.
Over the years, the family has set 75 land speed records, and they keep coming back for more. The Poteet and Maine team is notably absent from the start line.
Well, you have to understand that Bonneville is for everyone. It's a sea of amateurs.
They want to avoid the crowds and the long delays typically seen on the event's first day.
It's called Speed Week, not Speed Day.
That doesn't stop Ron from doing a little reconnaissance work.
What's the fastest speed so far? All the fast cars are having problems.
It's a trend that the Vescos and Bobby hope to reverse. The Vesco family's bright yellow Streamliner is known as the Little Giant. It is as much a part of Bonneville Speedway as the Blue Skies and White Salt. It's been racing here in one form or another for more than half a century.
We're pretty happy with the old thing. One of these days we got to retire it, but it's still doing the job. So 54 years in action is what it is.
This year, Dave Spangler will have the honor of driving it.
It's been a long slope evolution, and we've arrived at a pretty neat car, pretty slick.
It started out with a Model B Ford engine in it. We've had motorcycle engines in it, little 750 Yamahas and different things over the years.
The current edition is powered by a 434 cubic inch small block Chevy. That's a 7-liter engine with 8 cylinders. As if the tiny cockpits weren't restrictive enough, drivers are also strapped down as tight as they can bear.
Does that one have to be that loose?
Even their wrists are restrained so their arms don't flail about and snap off in a crash.
Once they get you strapped in with the arm restraints and the leg restraints, about all you can move is your eyeballs.
He can also push his foot down on the gas pedal.
Dave should be between 350 and 360 in that neighborhood. Pretty easily, I would think.
On course 1, car 444, Dave Spangler driving the Little Giant for Team Vesco. The chute is out. Run is over before it really got started.
Not a good start to the week.
It started out really good, ran strong through first and part of second, and then the motor just went flat.
Okay, straight up, and then go ahead back.
If we don't find anything obvious, then we'll go to the airbox, because that's been a culprit in the past.
Of course, there's one fallback explanation for everything.
If something's wrong, it's the driver's fault. So we're going to blame everything on him.
That's something Dave isn't interested in hearing.
My game plan for tonight is have dinner and a couple of beers and get ready for tomorrow.
Back at the line, it's Bobby's turn. Everything looks fine as he leaves the line.
Speed at the 2 mile, 278. 3 mile, 307.
He reaches 317 miles an hour by the 4-mile mark, then starts his shutdown sequence. Bobby gets lifted and jerked sideways by his first parachute. The Streamliner goes skidding off the course. The second chute makes things worse. Earlier in the day, Bobby drove his pickup truck out to inspect the track. The groomed driving lane is surrounded by ridges of salt. It's like the rough that lines the fairway on a golf course. Some of those ridges are 3 inches high. Hitting them at 400 miles an hour in a vehicle with almost zero ground clearance could be deadly.
Yeah, that's gonna be too much on the car.
Oh yeah. Don't come down here.
Yeah, well, unless it's all out, it'll be an emergency, high-speed emergency. Yeah, John, if I'm down here, just kick a little salt on me and say a few words.
Bobby has made it back to the pits, with the car more or less in one piece.
Go back and do that again. What I want you to look at is this.
He's called in a parachute expert to figure out what went wrong.
You see how that chute came out, hit that hole, and went straight over here?
The chutes are supposed to slow the car down, but keep it going straight.
Now watch the big chute come out. It's going to go to that side. Okay? This is dirty air to you. All back in here is all dirty.
A fast-moving race car creates turbulence the same way an airplane does. The air swirls in different directions depending on the distance behind the car. Each car's pattern of turbulence is unique, so they all use different length straps on their chutes. They want to make sure the chute opens in a region where the air is flowing smoothly. Luckily, the problem happened when Bobby was well below his top speed.
The chance of surviving a 200-mile-an-hour crash is a hell of a lot better than a 300-mile-an-hour crash. So
Before Bobby can run again, he needs to find a way to get his chutes into clean air. He also needs to fix some body work.
When it went up on two wheels, it tore the front nose part of the skirt up. Then when it banged back down, it tore a piece clear off the back end.
With Bobby doing a little off-roading, the Vesco's struggling with their airbox, and Speed Demon playing possum. Day one of Speed Week ends without a clear leader in the race for the Hot Rod Trophy. But here at Bonneville, the one thing you can count on is that things happen fast. On the first day of Speed Week, both Bobby Moore and the Vesco family made shakedown runs. Bobby almost flipped over.
You can see the horizon go like that. And it came back down and tipped back up and rocked a few times.
And Vesco's little giant ended up in the repair shop.
Shifted to second, and it just went flat.
Speed Demon stayed quiet on day one, but they have big plans for today.
We get here early. We only allow the crew 30 minutes for breakfast because if we give them any longer, then we have to retrain them.
These days, Ron Main is treated like royalty on the Salt. 25 years ago, he was a villain.
I started out like most people. I built a Roadster. You never want to build a Roadster.
Roadsters are historical cars, and the class has very strict rules about what you can do to them.
We actually broke the record on the first run. We're immediately protested and denied because they thought the car, I went too far in some of my ideas. The Roadster Committee came to my house with pitchforks and torches. So we moved up to special construction where innovation is not frowned on so much.
Ron's thirst for innovation gave birth to Speed Demon, a streamliner with the potential to do something truly historic.
Going a 430 average will be the fastest piston-powered car ever, and that's what we're after.
Ron's partner in the operation is the driver, George Poteet.
We like to win. Everybody likes to win.
George Poteet is the fastest man in Memphis.
We want big numbers. We've never placed a lot of emphasis on the record. I mean, we place a lot of emphasis on the Hot Rod Trophy.
The Hot Rod Trophy is given out annually to the single fastest speed of the week.
You just run what you brung and go as fast as you can.
It's the greatest achievement of Speed Week. Ron and George have it, and everyone else wants it.
They've had that for the last 3 or 4 years. It'd be nice if we could put our name on there. Those boys are bloody fast.
To go that fast, the Speed Demon team has sunk a lot of money into their motor.
We call it the Hellfire engine.
It was built by a mechanical legend, Ken Duttweiler. He's been building high-end race car engines for more than 50 years.
Got a pretty good clientele in the UAE and a customer in Denmark that builds a high-end supercar.
The engine he's created for Speed Demon is surprisingly small. It's a 5-liter V8 engine, the same size you'd find in a Corvette, Ford Mustang, or full-size pickup truck.
It is truly 300 cubic inches, and it really does make 2,200 horsepower.
The secret is the massive twin turbochargers. The turbos cram high-pressure air and fuel into the engine, like giving a Red Bull to a toddler.
We try to match the power with the track and the speed. We can't put full power till we're at least 380 miles an hour without spinning the tires.
Everything on the car is perfect, so about the only thing that can fail now is a driver, and I don't want that to happen.
What he does want to happen is a smooth, fast run that ends with a new land speed record.
For me, there's nothing else on earth that comes close to this yet. I'm only 64, maybe I will, but I haven't yet.
Okay, have a great one.
George disappears into the desert. His crew waits for the results over the radio.
.378 in the 4th mile. So far, top speed of the main. Nice run.
The week has barely started, but already it's clear. Speed Demon is the team everyone else is chasing. Bobby Moore won't be running them down anytime soon. His crew is busy repairing the damage he did to the car when his parachutes pulled him off course. The Vesco team, on the other hand, is back in action. They've got the Little Giant tuned up and ready for another run.
Hopefully this should be a good run here. We got to qualify at 3:44, so that's what we're going to shoot for. Okay, here we go again.
What now?
WeGo is on, Transair, gauges. Here we go.
It's a perfect launch. But then...
Up shoots out. We must not have fixed the problem.
Vesco crew, your car is just past the 2. We would like you to come out and assist with its recovery, please.
I'll be right there. Why are you out here, David?
Yeah, the cockpit filled with smoke. I could just barely see, and then I thought, well, this is the place to stop.
Dave, you get out. Eric can get in and steer it.
All's okay except a little smoke. I think we could have broken the rear end. That's what it acted like. It was skidding all over the place. I just got the car straight and then pulled the parachutes. I had shifted twice. I was going 200 and something.
Driving blind at those speeds is a harrowing experience. But now Dave and the rest of the Vesco team have to face another frightening reality. They're 2 days in, and they've had 2 different mechanical problems. It could be that their Little Giant is showing its age. They'll need to find the fountain of youth for it if they're going to keep up with Speed Demon. The race course at the Bonneville Salt Flats is 8 miles long and perfectly straight. The road to the Hot Rod Trophy is proving to be much longer and full of twists and turns. Team Vesco's second run of the week left them full of questions.
You didn't feel a bang or anything?
It never locked the wheels up, but it was pretty catastrophic.
The detective work happens in the pits.
Is it true what they were saying that you broke a rear end?
Well, it's either transmission or rear end, one or the other. If it's the rear end or tranny, we can order another one in UPS or something next day maybe and get it back together. So can't give up this early. It's early in the week.
With a half dozen trained sets of eyes poring over the car, it doesn't take long to discover the problem. But it's something no one expected.
We got a hole in the pan. Number 1 or 2 rods.
That kind of damage is not repairable.
A hole in the oil pan, which means a rod spit itself out.
We blew the motor at 200 plus miles an hour and spit a rod out. It's now a see-through motor.
This motor's done. Well, on to the next motor. Good thing we got spares.
The plan was to have Dave set a record with this engine and then switch to a smaller one and give someone else a chance to chase a record in a different class.
We're going to stick to our plan. We have a crew member that has been in driver's training for 4 years. We're going to put him in the car and he'll do great.
But for Dave, it means his speed week is over.
It's disappointing not to have gotten a record, but it's not the first time we've broken something and had to go home.
Bobby Moore is a veteran racer, but a newcomer to the world of Streamliners. On his first run, he went 317 miles an hour. But when he tried to stop, his parachutes got caught in dirty air and pulled him sideways, off the groomed track and into the rough stuff.
It tore up the skirts on both sides when it rocked up on 2 tires.
They've straightened out the damage to the body and found a solution to the parachute problem.
Instead of being 60-foot tethers, we've got 80-foot tethers on the main chute, and hopefully it'll get past the dirty air which causes me that problem.
All yours. Do it.
On course 1, Bobby Moore driving the Mero Special. First time mile, 285. Second, 316. Third mile, he's got 337.083. Heck of a run for Bobby Moore. Shoots out. He's going sideways.
Catastrophic chute failures. We deployed the wrong kind of chute, the wrong shroud length, and we're lucky to still be here.
It's the same problem as his first run. The chutes are catching dirty air and pulling the car sideways.
Looks like he kept it on the wheels, but he's definitely off the course and rough stuff.
No one knows more about building, driving, or stopping Streamliners on the salt than Rick Vesco.
How come you guys never go four-wheeling like I do?
Well, the CG thing's going to take care of it more than anything, and now you got cross.
CG is center of gravity. Rick thinks it's not the length of the straps, but the height of where they're attached to the car.
Normally, they say about camshaft height.
For the first
center of gravity, yeah.
I think we're a lot lower.
I put all of mine on the same focal point, all of them. Oh yeah.
Hopefully Rick's advice will help. Otherwise, the battle for the Hot Rod Trophy will be down to a 2-team race.
You're talking about some important stuff here. This is the kind of learning curve nobody wants.
We learned how to get up there. Now we're learning how to stop.
Yeah.
Speed Demon's shakedown run was 379 miles an hour. On this pass, they want to top 400. They have a great car with a powerful engine. They also have experience and strategy.
The best way to run Bonneville, go to the right or the left, because everybody goes down the center. Pretty soon they spin and they chew it up so bad it's like a sandbox.
There's big numbered markers at every mile. George passes one every 9 seconds.
When you look down the course, it comes into a point and it just kind of sucks you into the middle.
And the exit speed is just a hair over 350. Not what they were looking for.
We lost 2 cylinders. We're not sure what happened, but we blew the motor. So the motor is real ventilated right now.
It's a total engine failure, but that's no reason to panic.
If we're not changing motors, changing transmissions, or changing rear ends, we're not at Bonneville. Half the cars come out here, they have no parts, they think it's a car show. We have 3 V8s and 1 4-cylinder. We have 5 transmissions. We have 2 rear ends. We have 2 48-foot trailers, and I wish we had another one.
It's a scenario that's all too common at Bonneville.
I'm going to power up and system test everything while you're doing that.
The race on the track has been replaced by a race in the pits. Both the Speed Demon crew
Right now, we're planning on running around 3 between.
and the Vescos
That goes straight back.
are trying to install new engines and get back on the track before the other team does. Just to add to the fun,
Lift it up. Let's get out of here.
an afternoon windstorm hits the flats,
Oh, shit.
causing havoc with their work.
Get out to an open place. Get out.
Despite the weather, the Speed Demon crew performs a mechanical miracle. They get their new engine installed and running in just 3.5 hours. But the wind and the threatening rain make an afternoon run impossible.
The weather worries. It's the biggest enemy out here. If it rains, we'll probably won't get to run until tomorrow afternoon at best.
A frightening but very real possibility. The Vescos, meanwhile, are discovering that their damage isn't limited to the motor.
Hurt the rear end when we broke the engine, so I've got to get some bearings for that.
And they aren't just swapping in a replacement.
Well, this distributor will give you the clearance you're looking for, Rick.
They're changing the size of their engine, which affects everything from the fuel lines to the gearbox.
But I don't know if we have any height problems with this.
We're going to continue to try to have fun. That's what we're going to do. We're all die-hard racers. You work all night and go out and break things during the day. So hopefully sometimes it works out and you get a record.
Between parachute troubles, engine explosions, and windstorms, the day ends without any of the hot rod contenders getting a good run in. That leaves Speed Demon as the leader in the clubhouse for one more day.
We're the fastest car out here as of right now, so everybody's chasing me. So from that standpoint, it's excellent. It's not fast enough, and no, we're not satisfied. If it rains the meat out, we get the hot rod trophy again, but that's not the way we want it.
Copy, car 598. Go ahead and send them.
Millions of dollars are being spent to make the cars at Bonneville Speedway go fast. So it's important to know exactly how fast they're going.
I like to compare it to the air traffic controller. This is an air traffic control center for the Bonneville racing facilities.
Copy, car 259. Go ahead and send them.
We have a custom-built system that the software and the hardware were developed by our own people.
That system uses pairs of timing lights deployed on either side of the track. When a car passes through the light beam, it sends a signal back to the timing tower over a web of wires spread across the salt. Somebody has to lay all that wire, and that somebody is Alan Fogliadini. A full week before any of the racers show up, Alan is the busiest man in Bonneville.
We have a 1 mile, a 2, a 2 1/4, a 3, 3 1/4, a 4, a 5, probably 40 miles of wire.
At the end of the week, Alan has to pick up all that wire.
We take everything back with us, and this turns into a completely barren land again.
Each of the 4 courses are different lengths, so every racer has a track that fits their requirements.
We run a short and a long course configuration. So we do have a short course that's a 3-mile course, and that one will have, and there goes the Petite main car, 400-mile-an-hour vehicle right there.
Speed Demon uses the long one.
Come on, George.
8 miles that's drivable, plus another 3 for stopping.
Speed on Speed Demon was 401.329. Exit speed 409.132.
It's the first run over 400 miles an hour this week, a sign that their new engine is running just fine. It's day 5 of Speed Week. The rain has passed and the hot desert sun has dried out the salt. While Speed Demon is tearing up the track, the Vesco team is still tearing apart their Streamliner.
How about the start? I get the start.
They've installed a new, smaller engine and rebuilt the rear suspension. It's time to head back to the start line. This time, it's Eric Ritter, one of the mechanics who will be behind the wheel.
I'm here to work hard, pay attention, and have a lot of fun.
Eric is a DJ at a dance club in New York City. But every year, he joins the Vesco team in the desert for Speed Week. After more than a decade of turning wrenches on the little giant, Eric is finally getting his shot at driving it.
So we got a little bit?
No, as soon as that car lights off, we're going to get in the car. And that'll be 2 more cars running after him before we go.
To me, this is so much fun. I want to actually enjoy it. So when I'm at the starting line, I want to laugh and joke and take pictures.
I shot this sitting on the car.
Yeah. And my umbrella girl. If you get too much of a race face on, you miss what you should be enjoying.
For Eric, a lifelong gearhead, driving at Bonneville is a dream come true.
Okay, guys, strap him in there.
But for his wife, with nothing to do but watch, it's nerve-wracking. Just a day and a half ago, the engine in this car exploded, filling the cockpit with smoke. Dave, a driver with decades of experience, calmly brought the car to a stop and climbed out. For Eric, all of this is new.
Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's go.
Roger that starting line. Vehicle number 4441, Vesco Streamliner.
Speed at 3 mile 269. The 4, 294. And the 5th mile, 316, 277. Well done.
On the track, everything looks good. But in the pits, the little giant reveals a hidden problem.
We've run 316 on a 323 mile an hour record, but our driver Eric said it had a little vibration to it, and we kept getting oil in the back, and we got to looking into it further, and we had bent the lower shaft the day before and didn't realize it.
The one on the left is what it should look like. The one on the right was in the car.
You got to keep your spirits up, I guess, a little bit, otherwise it would be really ugly. Fix it and go forward or go home, one or the other. That's all you can do.
Replacing the rod will take a couple of hours, which means they're done racing for today.
We'll have it running in the morning. It'll be good. We're only 10 miles an hour off the record. I think we're going to be in the hunt.
Earlier today, the Speed Demon made its first 400-mile-an-hour run of the week. It would be an incredible milestone for most drivers, but for George Petit, it's just part of the job.
We're the third car, so whenever you want to go to the office.
This time, they're aiming for 420.
That's why I don't wear a ponytail.
If they average that speed for a full mile and do it twice,
all right, guys, make a hole.
They'll be the fastest piston-powered car in the world.
Give them hell this morning, huh?
There, left side, right side.
The pre-race routine resembles a rocket launch.
Right parachute, left parachute. Air's on. Air's on. Fire bottle's armed.
Good luck, sir.
We need it. Go ahead and start it, George.
Ron drives the push truck, getting the Streamliner up to 35 miles an hour. That's where George puts it in gear. The push truck also provides the best view of the run.
See that rooster tail?
Yeah.
At least until George disappears over the horizon.
Okay, we're golden.
How much?
419. 427 exit.
Records at Bonneville are based on the average speed over a full mile of the course. 419 falls just short of where they need to be. But their exit speed is what determines the Hot Rod Trophy winner. 427 miles an hour is far and away the best speed of the week. With the Vesco team now running a smaller engine and Bobby still struggling with his parachutes, it seems Speed Demon's toughest competition this week will be their own expectations. The end of Speed Week is coming quickly, and everyone is scrambling to get in a couple more runs. No one has had to do more scrambling than Bobby Moore.
The salt is very humbling.
He finally found a solution to his parachute problems.
The video shows a terrible, terrible low pressure area surrounded by an extremely high pressure area behind the car from 50 to about 90 feet. After that, we've got good air, so now our sprout lines are 125 and 100 feet long.
But his repeated off-road excursions have created an engine issue. His exhaust system is full of oil.
When you veered over and all that, you know, probably left the clutch out a long time. It don't have no suctions for the oil pump and the valve cover. It fills the valve covers up with oil. And
But Bobby has decided it's time to race.
We're going to stand on it and look to go 350 to 375.
We're going to go for a full blast this time.
Hot, damn glad to hear it. You ought to have good salt all the way down from this point in time. Now, it is a mile shorter on the big end.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Hey, have fun, huh?
Emergency, heads up, this is the Bobby Morris Streamliner. It's a 300-mile-an-hour car.
Ambulance copies. Fire copies. Emergency response copy. It's underway.
By 2. Mile 5, speed 362.582.
Am I seeing smoke off that fire, or are you with him yet? 10-4, we're right behind him. Did he go past the 9? He's way beyond the end of the track.
Bobby managed to keep the Streamliner going in a straight line, but he still ended up in the rough. Instead of going off the track sideways, he went out the back door. The smoke seen by the course officials was from a fire in the back end caused by Bobby locking up his brakes as he went rocketing off the end of the track.
We were lucky the automatic fire system put them out, and that was our best run, this last one, which kind of finished us off.
Come real close to being bad news, but we're done for this year. Back next year.
We're learning, and hey, there's nothing the matter with that. We're enjoying this. A bad day here is better than most good days at home.
The Vesco team is also having a difficult week. They're on their second driver and their second engine. They've also busted an airbox, bent a rod, and replaced their drive shaft.
You work all year on these things. Coming out here, you gotta, make the best of every minute.
Filled with optimism, they're back at the line, ready to take another crack at it.
Getting the air on, I got no power. That's better.
Now on course 1, Vesco Streamliner car 4441. And the chute's out. Stand by. They've obviously got a problem.
The transmission wouldn't shift. For some reason, the air supply switch, it was on, but it didn't activate it. So I don't know. We're going to go right back in the line. There's nearly nothing wrong. But
before Vesco can even pack up, Speed Demon goes ripping past on their next run.
Mile 2, 275, quarter mile, 325.
Rubbing salt in their wounded pride.
Just rub it in. Just keep rubbing. Rub and rub, rub.
Speed Demon's run was clocked at a 419 average. The second time they've done that this week. With that as motivation, the Vescos return to the line to try again.
Car 4441. Team Vesco, defuel Streamliner up on course number 1. Eric Ritter driving.
The record Eric is trying to break is just a hair over 323 miles an hour.
Mile speed 323.013. Did they qualify? No, they did not. Take you by 310.
yeah, get any closer than that. Just need, I think it's 3/10 more. We need 3/10 of a mile an hour and we'd be qualified.
The problem is they're running out of time. The Speed Demon team, meanwhile, is back on the track for another run. They're trying to find that one more mile an hour that would push them over a 420 average and put them into the record books.
Speed Demon, mile 5, speed 423.325. Exit speed 430.593.
We just qualified at a 423, so we'll run back tomorrow. We have to have a two-way average to make the record. 2 runs, and they average the 2 miles.
Their exit speed of 430 miles an hour isn't part of the world record calculation, but it does provide a special thrill for the team.
There was a time when 200 miles an hour would make my nipples hard, 300 miles an hour, and 400 miles an hour has become so common. We just wait for that big number.
430 is definitely a big number, and the team thinks they can notch an even bigger one in the morning.
We've really turned up the hairdryer, that turbocharger. We're probably going to be up about 45 pounds of boost. Power is heat, and this engine's going to be on fire.
Today is the last chance to qualify for a record at Speed Week. It's late afternoon, and the legendary Team Vesco is on their way to the start line with a record within reach. They've gotten their little giant up to 323 miles an hour, but they need to go 323 and a half.
Mile 3. 307, mile 4.
322.318. That's about 0.8 of a mile an hour slower.
For a third straight run, they are just fractions of a mile an hour off the record. They are close, but as the saying goes,
No cigar. There was no cigar. No, we just don't have enough in the motor to pull the gear.
We're going to try to make another run?
No, oh no, we're not going to make it. We're done. Okay, back at the pits. See you there.
You can't get there. You can't get there. It's just all there is to it.
It's the way it is. If it was easy, everybody would be having records.
the legendary Vesco family racing team has set 75 land speed records over the last 79 years. But they'll leave this year's Speed Week without adding to that total.
You do all you can. You don't stop. Sometimes it's not good enough, but hey, we're not going to go home crying on this one. We gave it everything we could.
The records that are in the book are really tough. Most of them are tough. We found that out today, so all you can do is come back and say we're going to do it next time.
It's the 7th and final day of Speed Week. Most of the racers have gone home. Only the cars looking to back up a record remain.
I think we got it.
4 times this week, Speed Demon has made a run over 400 miles an hour, each one a little faster than the one before. They've locked up the Hot Rod Trophy for a 4th consecutive year. But there's one more goal within reach. If they can average more than 420 miles an hour for a full mile, they will officially be declared the fastest piston-driven car in the world.
Speed Demon.
miles 5 for the speed demon. 421.693. Man, did he knock that one out.
How about congratulations?
Oh, Georgie, you're my man. You make.
I was a little afraid this morning.
No, you make my day.
You're making me old.
It's a historic moment in the world of auto racing.
Today is a two-way record average of over 422. And now I believe we're the fastest piston-powered car in the world.
Everything's great today. Couldn't be any better right now.
This is what it's all about.
Oh, I hit 60 up there.
Boy, I'll tell you.
It's not a record that will make them rich and famous, but for Ron and George, it's a dream come true.
Since I was 12 years old, since 1962, my first goal in life was just to see it in person. I mean, I dreamed when I was 15 years old and started driving, you just thought if I could ever see it, you'd be satisfied.
He not only saw it, he had a front row seat.